What's going on, guys? This is DaWoblefet, and welcome to round 6 of my Swiss rounds for the North American Players Cup 4 qualifiers. This is the next stage of the tournament. I've now got to face against another colossal team. I'm facing also against Alec Rubin, Namuko Pro, who I know is a very smart player. If I recall correctly, now, I probably should have looked this up prior to advance. I know he definitely made the second day of competition, like he made the quote top cut of Players Cup 3, but I don't remember if he made it through all the way to global finals or not. I think he didn't, but regardless, I know that he's an intelligent player, and I also know that I just lost a Cole 2 rounds ago, so having to fight it again is certainly not ideal. My opponent is using, like I say, basically the same thing that Marco Fierro / Shoei Pace is using with Life Orb. Dragapult. This also has the Solar Beam on Colossal rather than the Earth Power, but nothing terribly unusual here. It's an Raz Shukaberry. Yeah. So, again, my game plan versus this is Clefairy, Aleki with Landorus and Registeel. So, if you recall, in my last matchup against Colossal, which was against Turtle Mania, one of the problems that I experienced when fighting against it was that my Landorus was out of Dynamax pinned against the Urshifu. So now I have a new game plan with this. I'm going to just not max Aleki. It doesn't matter what they've got in the field. I'm just not going to max Aleki. I've got to save it for my Landorus in the back. I'm going to have my Landorus win. And so I see the immediate adjustment here. Well, not the adjustment, but this is their initial Game 1 lead of the Urshifu and Dragapult. And so I'm like, okay, this is fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to Electro Web, and I'm going to Sing. Technically, technically Sing is a little bit risky here, because they could just like double my Aleki and take it out. But if I get Sing off on the Dragapult, that makes it well worth it. And so what I'm doing here is I'm putting Electro Web down. If he wants to protect his Urshifu to guarantee that he can get a speed boost, he's going to have to risk me hitting my Sing. So I feel like this is a good trade for me. I'm going to get some good damage down with Electro Web. And I do manage to hit the Urshifu, so I'm like, yeah, perfect, okay. I brought the Urshifu down to its Sash, lowered its speed. This is great for me. They probably are going to mix up their targets, but just goes through the Max Airstream into Clefairy. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So this is either going to be a Surging Strikes into Clefairy or into the Regieleki. I'm not super sure which one they'll go after. I'm like, but I think I'm like, okay, maybe Clefairy can actually take this attack. But so Bold Clefairy is able to take this combination attack very effectively. But I could tell just from that Surging Strikes hit alone that, yeah, no, Clefairy is not going to be able to survive this attack. So Clefairy is going to go down. But I did put some good chip damage onto the Urshifu, which is great. So now I put it in KO range of another attack, which is fantastic. So now I've got my Lando and my Registeel. I can't go straight into Lando, though. If I go hard Lando, I'd have to, like, max my Aleki. Because if I go Lando, then they have a pretty safe max Ghost into the Aleki. And Surging Strikes my Lando, and that would go down for sure. So I can't go into my Landorus. But I can go into Registeel, and Registeel is great here. I'll be able to pick up the final knockout on the Urshifu if I want to, or I can go for an Iron Defense. Iron Defense would be nice because then I would have a potential win con later on if I can get this stuff set up. So I go into my Registeel, and I think it makes the most sense for me here to attack into the Urshifu because I really want it dead, and then Lando can come in. It likely won't die to anything, but I did decide to go for the Iron Defense here. In hindsight, I do think this was a misplay. By going for the Iron Defense, the Aleki is definitely going to go down, and the Urshifu, if it protects, then Iron Defense would be a great play, but they don't really have much reason to protect. They can just go for close combat, deal a ton of damage to my Registeel. I've got to do something else in order to have the Registeel come out on top from this interaction, so I think that this was a misplay on my end to go for the Iron Defense. I think doubling into the Urshifu would have been a little bit smarter. Again, I was worried about the Urshifu going for Protect, but no Protects here. The Max Phantasm comes out, picks up a clean knockout on Regieleki. Even with my additional bulk, you can't survive that attack. Unless you like have no special attack investment, you can't live that hit. And so now the Urshifu goes for close combat into Registeel, and I kind of realize what I've just done is a really, really, really bad play, because now I basically just kind of did the exact same thing that I didn't want to do the last turn, which is now I have to max guard with my Lando, or I have to, like, my Lando is being pressured here. He can go for Phantasm into the Registeel and Surging Strikes into Lando, and that will certainly knock me out. So I have to go for max guard with Lando here, or else I'm just going to get knocked out. And even doing that isn't good either, because if they decide to just predict me and go after the Registeel, then I'll also lose instantly. So, and I don't know what they have in the back. If they have Incineroar, they've got options to be able to switch out into that for later on. It's just not looking good for me. But if I Lando, like if I don't lose my Lando, like if I can get a hit off with my Lando here and avoid taking the hit from Urshifu, then I'll be in a good spot. So it's definitely not over. I just need to get this turn right. Whether or not he's going to double target the Registeel, or whether or not he's going to attack into the Lander. And I'm like, okay, he's definitely going to attack into the Lander, as he's probably got something else in the back that can wear down Registeel. He's just going to Phantasm the Registeel, do a good chunk of damage to it. That'll put it really, really low in KO range of most every other attack, and then just knock out the Landorus. So I go for Max Guard here. When I knock out the Urshifu, my Registeel will be at very low HP, but he'll have used all of his Dynamax, and also have 2 turns of my own max. And that's going to be important. If they've got Togekiss in the back, I'll be able to Max Rock that, knock it out. If they've got Rillaboom in the back, I'll be able to Max Flying, knock it out. If they've got Incineroar in the back, I won't be able to knock it out straight away, but I'll be able to put a speed boost on my Registeel in order to knock it out with a follow-up Body Press. This is looking like it's okay. I can definitely still win this, but they've got to attack my Landorus here with Surging Strikes. I don't have another option. They've got to go for the play that I want them to go for. And so I do go for the backstart, and I'm like, okay, you know what would be even better? If they doubled my Lando. That would be awesome, but no dice there. Just a Max Phantasm into the Registeel, which is optimal. Now you can see this is probably going to be in KO range. Maybe not a Phantom Force the next turn, but it's going to be doing a lot of damage. And the Urshifu does go for the close combat, so doesn't even Surging Strikes. I think that was a misplay. I think they should have gone for the Surging Strikes if you're going to double, because that's still going to do enough. And if you happen to crit the Max Phantasm, then that covers the Registeel too. But yeah, now this game is certainly over. There's nothing I can do. My opponent has my Landorus at -1. My Landorus will survive 1 Surging Strikes at neutral, but yeah, that's not going to be enough at this point. Unless this Urshifu isn't running max speed for some reason, this game is certainly over. Dragon Darts by itself already does half the Lando, thanks to the -1 drop it incurred from Max Phantasm, and Surging Strikes is definitely going to pick up the knockout here. It does take at least 2 hits, so Lando at least forcing the Urshifu to hit it twice, but yeah, of course irrelevant with the guaranteed 3 hits of Surging Strikes. Picking up that knockout there, Lando's down, and I am frustrated. I am so frustrated. Like, this is the 3rd game in a row that I've tried Clef, Alecki, Lando, Registeel, and I've lost. And this time, I lost on leads. I lost to lead Dragapult and Urshifu. And the only real thing I could have done differently was try to win a couple of those 50-50s. Maybe if I had won, you know, like, quote, won the 50-50 of the last turn, or if I had actually attacked the Urshifu, then maybe I would have had a shot. But I mean, I feel like I'm just drowning in trying to hard read my opponent to try to even have a shot, whereas my opponent can pick a wide range of options and win. And so I'm like, okay, forget this. I've got to adjust. They're leading with Dragapult or Urshifu. That did so well for them in this game. I'm just going to hard read them and bring my Moltres. Now, this is terrible if they bring Cole. If they bring Cole, then I'm going to be so far behind, because they'll have the option of just going for the Surf and knocking out my Moltres. And I can't bring my Lando, because I can't bring Alecki, Lando, and Moltres. I'm going to be maxing my Moltres here. That's my plan now. I'll bring Registeel in the back. Registeel still hasn't been doing very much in the back, but I swear, in practice, it works pretty well in the back. As long as you can like damage some of their Pokemon, then Registeel becomes unkillable, because if you can get like a speed boost on it, then it outspeeds Incineroar, is able to OHKO that with Body Press if you get an Iron Defense up. It's able to wall the Rillaboom, it walls the Togekiss, and can deal heavy damage back to it. After the Dragapult runs out of its max, if it does max, then Registeel walls the Dragapult. So Registeel is definitely good here, and I mean, like, what else am I going to bring in the back? Like, again, we saw that Lando isn't helpful, and I do want to bring Clefairy, because at least Clefairy can help redirect a lot of these single target attacks that my opponent has, the only spread attack they have being Togekiss's Dazzling Gleam or Colossal's Heat Wave out of Dynamax. But yeah, this is, now they say, I'm like, okay, I'm going to play against, I gotta hope that they leave the same thing, and I'm like, shoot! And like with Dragapult Colossal, I'm like, oh man, this is over. Like, what do I do? They can just go for Surf. Now, normally this play is fine, because I can max my Lucky and just go for Helping Hand max into the Colossal. But I can't do that. I can't do that now, because I don't have the Helping Hand. So Max Lightning and Surf isn't going to be enough to knock it out, so I'm toast. I have to hope that basically, I have to hope they go after my Lucky here. Maybe predict that I won't max with my that I won't max with my Lucky. I think that I'm gonna save it again, because at least in game 1, I didn't max my Lucky, so maybe they're inclined to think that I would max my Lucky this time around. I can go for the Fiery Wrath. Maybe they'll go after my Lucky, and then I can have Fiery Wrath do enough. But I'm not even sure if Max Thunderbolt plus Surf plus Fiery Wrath is enough to knock out this darn this darn Colossal on the side of the field. So, in all the other games, I've lost to Max Dragapult, but in this game, it looks like I'm going to be losing to Max Colossal, because, again, there's just not much that I can do to stop them from getting this set up. If I get a critical hit, then that would work. I would be able to knock them out with that, but yeah, it's not looking promising. I need something very, very, very good to happen here. On top of all that, Fire Wrath is not going to be able to knock out this Dragapult, even after it goes for Surf, because Fire Wrath is not strong enough on its own. It's only an 80 base power move after all, and a spread, I guess it is 90. Yeah, it is a 90 base power move. But it's a spread attack. It's just not going to knock out Dragapult. They go for the Surf, and I'm like, this needs to do a lot of damage, and it does. I'm like, okay, that is Fiery Wrath KO range. So I do have some options here. If they KO my Moltres, then I get Clefairy in, and I can knock out the Coal, and then maybe Alecki can just brute force their team somehow. If they knock out Alecki, then I should get a knockout on the Coal, and I'll do a ton of damage to the Dragapult. So they do take out Alecki, and I'm like, okay, at least I get a head off this turn. I'm going to deal some heavy damage to both the Dragapult and the Colossal here. I know for sure they've got Urshifu in the back. There's no way they don't. But I don't know what their final Pokemon is. I don't know if it's going to be Incineroar, or if it's going to be Togekiss, or if it's going to be, or what it's going to be. The Dragapult does hang on, and I'm like, oh, that's annoying. But like I said, that's expected. I actually got a good roll there. It's possible that Fiery Wrath won't put the Dragapult in the KO range of its own Life Orb there. Normally, it does somewhere between like it'll usually do around 80 to 85% or something like that. So I guess it would, now that I think about it. Yeah, it's pretty likely to put it in the KO range of 2 Life Orb recoils. And now I do have my Clefairy and my Registeel as potential ways of beating my opponent here. I end up going into Registeel, and I'm trying to remember why I did this rather than going into Clefairy. Why didn't I go into Clefairy? I think Clefairy was the play. Yeah, I don't think I should have gone into Registeel. I think the reason I went into Registeel was because now I can force my opponent to pick. They either can knock out my Registeel or they can knock out my Moltres, but why didn't I just go into my... Why didn't I just go into my other guy? I'm not sure. Yeah. But I do know at this point, since the Dragapult is going to KO itself with Life Orb recoil, that means now I can go for Hurricane into the Urshifu. If they double target... They can mix up their targets. They can double target. But they don't have any way of knocking out both my Pokemon this turn. And I'll put some damage on Urshifu. And then my Registeel or my Moltres, depending on which one they KO, should be able to win this game with Clefairy in the back. Dragon Darts does a lot of damage to the Moltres on my side of the field. And I'm like, okay. So I went for Dragon Darts. I think it's pretty likely here that they are just going to close combat my Registeel. Put a lot of damage on it, mix up their targeting. But they did go for the close combat in the Moltres, so Moltres goes down, but my Registeel now has +2 defense. So if they have Rillaboom in the back, then my Registeel's looking really good. With Rillaboom in the back, I will be recovering HP to offset these max Coals. I will be very healthy. Now, they will have Fake Out available to them, so they can do like Fake Out Searching Strikes and then do another Searching Strikes to potentially knock out the Clefairy. But it's not the end of the world. With a recovery and with Body Press into the Urshifu twice, I should be able to win because I got my Iron Defense up a lot sooner this game than I did in the last game. So this is looking a lot more promising than the last game if they brought the Rillaboom. Now, if they brought Togekiss, it's going to be a lot harder because Togekiss will be able to redirect my attacks. It'll be able to redirect. I'll need to spend 2 attacks in order to knock out the Togekiss, and it has the opportunity to protect. So it's not as safe versus the Togekiss, but I've got Clefairy to buy me a few extra turns, so I'm not feeling so bad. But it is the Incineroar, actually. It's the Incineroar. With Incineroar in the back, they have the option of going for Fake Out now into my Registeel and attack into my Registeel or into my Clefairy. They can also Fake Out my Clefairy and go for close combat. A lot of those plays make sense, but I think it's pretty likely they're going to go for Fake Out into my Registeel. But I don't want to use Protect here. Like, Double Protect doesn't really get me that much. It potentially loses me a lot. So I figured their play right here, they're going to go for a Fake Out into my Registeel, but I'm going to take, what, like 2 damage from that? Potentially having my Protect later might be useful. Probably not, but hey, you never know. Clefairy also can't do anything on this turn. It doesn't really have anything better to do. Protect doesn't help me if they Surging Strikes into it. I actually would prefer them to attack my Registeel this turn, so I don't care about protecting. I don't want to follow me because I don't want my Clefairy to take any damage. And I can't go for Sing because Electric Terrain is up, so I go for Helping Hand just on the off chance that something can help. I mean, I should knock out the Incineroar anyway with a +2 Body Press, but I mean, you never know, things like that, so I don't have anything better to click, basically, because I don't want to click Follow Me, I can't click Sing, and Protect doesn't help me either. So my Registeel and Clefairy are both around this turn, which is good. But my Clefairy is going to be in KO range of the Surging Strikes for sure. So, and they also got a turn of Vocal Life left, which is really bad for me. I can go for the Body Press into the Urshifu, but then on the following turn, if I go for Body Press into Urshifu, and they knock out my Clefairy, then Flare Blitz will attack my Clefairy without any Friend Guard damage. So I need to knock out this Incineroar, so that way at least I can take 2 Urshifu hits. That's my plan at this point. I'm going to go ahead and just knock out the Incineroar. I take care of it that way. I'm hoping they go for Searching Strikes into my Registeel here. Like I say, I need my Clefairy to stay around. I need to be able to redirect with it, but I can't. They're just attacking into my Clefairy very wisely. There's nothing I can do about that play. And so I just need to hope that Registeel is bulky enough to be able to take this combination attack. They can go for Flare Blitz, do some damage to me, and that's not good. I don't take very much from that Flare Blitz, for sure. But if I go for Body Press into Urshifu there, then they have Protect Flare Blitz available to them and can go for close combat on the following turn. Now I basically set it up, though, so now they can go for 2 close combats. There's no way I can stop them from going for 2 close combats no matter what I do. And I just don't have enough health to be able to survive this attack. I can't Protect because of the Unseen Fists on Urshifu. I have to just go for Body Press. There's nothing I can do. My opponent is going to be able to knock me out with 2 close combats for sure. There's just no way. Although this game worked out a little bit better than last time, at least I got to have my opponent reveal all 4 of their Pokemon. It nevertheless still ended in an L. So, and I also felt like my opponent was just playing positionally. They weren't really, I mean, they made like 1 read on me in game 1 with that Surging Strikes, or excuse me, that double target into Registeel. But that was really just about it. That's all they really did to I mean, everything else was just positional, and they just outplayed me at every turn. And that's bad. I'm just like, well, crap. Okay. I guess I just don't want to play against Colossal. I guess Colossal is just not a loss. And I was so disappointed because, again, the reason I switched to Magnet Alecki and Clefairy in the first place was because I thought that improved my Colossal matchup. And yeah, I mean, it's improving my matchup against other stuff. Like, Clefairy's been really useful throughout this tournament, much more than Grimmsnarl would have been. But I just folded to Colossal twice on other 2-0. At least versus Turtle Mania, it felt closer. If they hadn't gotten that Surf, I would have won at least a game. A Surf crit, I would have won a game 1 against them. But yeah, this just felt like I almost could do nothing. And so, really well played by Namuko Pro, taking advantage of the tools that Colossal has, and just running right over me. They played very well in this game. I can't fault them for that. And I was just kicking myself. I'm just like, gosh darn it. Like, I need to dodge Colossal at this point. Like, I can't play any more Colossal. And so I remember I was checking team sheets going forward, like, please don't let there be any more Colossal that I can fly. And now I am 4-2. So I have to win my next 3 games in order to move on. 7-2 is likely going to be a good enough record for me to move on. Potentially I could miss because they didn't cut all X2s for some reason. They only cut all top 16. But it's looking at least a little bit more likely that I can make it through with an X2 finish still. But I've got to win these next 3 games. And I mean, if I play another Colossal, I don't think there's any way I can win because I just basically have resigned myself to losing to Colossal. It seems to be doing very well against me. So not a good round for me. Not a good look. I've got to bounce back, though. I've got to refocus for my next round, round 7. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.